All right, I have very limited time today. Oh, I set this up too tall and my knees hurt. Oh God. Today is a strength training and a run day for me. I'm really early on in my training phase, working up to my 100-mile race next year, but I do have a 50K, 100K, and 50-mile leading up to that. Normally I would actually run first, like really early in the morning, and then I would do my strength training later at night, but sometimes with a 10-month-old, life doesn't work out that way, so you just gotta fit it in when you can. And I think that's true for anyone who runs long distances, or I mean, honestly, even training for like marathon and 5K distances. It's just, it sucks all your time out of your day. You kind of just fit it in when you can. We're just gonna try to fly through this and get it done while the baby's sleeping. Yeah. Oh, I'm in pain. All right, so the way I usually do stuff, at least when I'm trying to speed through, is I just superset like 3 of my exercises together. And I generally just do this to save time. And also because that's kind of the way my physical therapist had a lot of my workouts laid out. So when I used to do a lot more like powerlifting style stuff or bodybuilding style workouts before I got into running, I really didn't superset anything because I was really just trying to fatigue one muscle. But with this, I'm trying to really get as much as possible in terms of endurance out of my legs. So I think supersetting them is a good thing because I feel that sense of fatigue and maybe like a little bit of just cardio strain a little bit earlier when I superset stuff.
First exercise I'm doing today is reverse lunges with an internal rotation. Doing 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps on each side. The leg that you step back with should primarily be for stabilizing you, and you should be feeling most of the tension in your quad on your stationary leg. You can keep the weight relatively light with this. I'm just using a 20-pound dumbbell and focusing on keeping my core nice and tight, which will further help with stability while running. Next up is single leg hip thrusts. This targets both the hips and the hamstrings. Here I'm focusing on driving through my heel to keep as much tension as possible on my hamstring and doing this for 10 to 12 reps on each side. The last exercise of the superset is single leg hamstring bridges. Just like the name says, this is going to target your hamstrings. I'm adding in a tap with my opposite heel, which keeps me from going too quick and increases the time under tension of my hamstring, as well as works my core a little bit more. Again, this is going to be 10 to 12 reps per side.
So with those, and also these, I guess, the further you have your legs away from you, the harder it becomes. So like obviously doing a hip bridge here isn't that bad. Doing one here, one-legged, is a little harder, but then doing one out here, one-legged, is even harder. So the further you have your legs away, the more tension you're gonna put on your hamstrings. I didn't really know this until recently, but my hamstrings were really lacking. I can feel it a lot in my left leg where I got injured. I mean, my legs are just lacking in general, especially compared to a lot of other runners. And that's kind of just the result of being like in my early 20s and wanting to like ego lift and, you know, lift for my upper body and then falling in and out of love with that. So it's been really consistent, you know, there's a lot of this up and down, not real consistency. Like I'd be consistent for 5 months and then stop for 3, and then I'd be back for 4 months, then I'd stop for another 3 or something like that. And then even when I lifted for like a full year straight, then I stopped for like 2 years. And part of it's just life and part of it was just other issues and stuff going on. But running has really helped me stay more consistently active because when I just lifted, I was just lifting for myself and how I looked in the mirror. But now when I'm running, it's usually because I just have bigger goals, and some of those are intrinsic, and some of them are because I want to race, and I want to race hard, and I want to compete. I don't want to just be some guy out there running. I want to be a threat to other people who want to win. And it's going to take a lot of work to get there because I'm a long way off from that. But if you stick around, you know, next year in October when the 100-miler is, and even the tune-up races leading up to that, I'll be able to show myself and you guys what consistency can really do for you. Because, you know, this workout isn't extremely hard. It should be challenging, but it's not just this one workout. It's all the workouts over the course of the next year or the next 5 years. Each workout is like stacking a brick. You stack one brick today and that's all you have, and stack some bricks over a week or a month. You're starting to build something, but it's still just a pile of bricks, and it takes years and years of effort to build a wall or build a house. One single brick isn't significant, but when you chain hundreds or thousands of those together, all of that combined effort really makes you an incredible athlete. That's what I'm here for. I want to be here for the long haul. So it's these workouts when, you know, the baby has been kind of a pain all day and I'm exhausted and sleep deprived. Now, hopefully I'll look back at this video a year from now when I'm towing the starting line for that 100-mile race, and I'll see how far I've come, and it'll just further prove that I am capable of doing something that's that big. Just like anyone who's watching this who's run an ultra before, you know, you don't sit at the starting line and say, I have 100 miles left to go. You sit at the starting line, you say, I just have to make it through the next step or the next mile or to the next aid station. It really is just breaking down this huge goal into these much smaller, achievable chunks, just to keep your mind in it, keep your head in the game. All right, so I'm gonna blast through these 3 sets and then you guys can just catch up on the next 3 exercises. I don't want to completely fatigue myself before I run later. I want to make sure I still get in a quality run, and that's why generally I would flip it. I would run in the morning and do strength training at night, because if I do that, then whatever I have left once it comes to strength training, I can really just burn myself out. But the running is more important to me right now, so I try to save a little bit more energy for that just to get the most out of these runs.
That was a little long-winded, but for the next superset, we are starting with heel raise walks. You can see that I'm up on my toes and have about 20 pounds. Although this does focus on all the muscles on the back of your legs, for me, the real purpose of this exercise is getting my body used to having my knees past my toes, which is a position I still feel some pain in. This is a low-impact way for me to readjust to that. I prefer lighter weight on this with higher reps, like 15 to 20 in each direction. Next is split squat jumps. I'm doing 8 to 10 per side and really focusing on that soft, controlled landing. You can see that I'm a little bit shaky with this exercise, which is why I've really been focusing on this one hard. Finishing off the superset with single leg hops. I'm doing sets of 30 seconds per side, and again, just focusing on a nice, soft, controlled landing to remind my body that it's okay to land on my feet again as I continue to strengthen my legs and put my injury behind me.
Just as a caveat, all these exercises are catered towards what I have to fix because of my injury. Some of these might work well for you depending on your strengths or weaknesses, but running in general, a lot of single leg stuff is great because when you're running, you're basically hopping from one foot to the other. There's not really any times where both legs are on the ground. So doing a lot of single leg exercises really helps strengthen and stabilize that position so you don't get injured like I did. Learn from my mistake. So now we're gonna go through that 2 more times, and that's all for this workout that I have scheduled. Perfect time to finish. My daughter just woke up, so I will see you guys at the run this afternoon. I'm gonna go do normal adulting parent stuff, stay off my legs as much as I can for a little while. That way I can get a good strong run in later. So I'll check in with you then. All right, so it is 6:30, a couple hours later. About to go on my run. Just gonna come do a little bit of a warm up before I go. The worst part about running this late at night is just that I'm exhausted. Like I have zero desire to go run right now. But such is life when you have a 10-month-old. Like I said earlier, ideally I would switch the run into strength training. Right now, all of my runs are based on my time on feet throughout the week rather than a specific set of mileage. So I can cut my strength training a little bit short if I need to, or even bring my daughter out here and put her in her stroller while I finish a workout, but it's a lot harder to do that with a run. Got an hour-long run tonight, doing nice and slow. So we're doing an hour at 2 to 3 RPE. RPE is just rate of perceived exertion, so this should be a super easy run. Right now I'm in the aerobic base building phase of my training, and this is just leading into my VO2 max phase of training. So really just trying to get to where I'm spending 4 to 6 hours running each week, nice and slow, steady, having a good solid aerobic base. And then from there, I can start doing my speed work. And yeah, that's what I'm excited for. So it's a little bit more boring, but I think it's all a matter of perception. But we'll talk about that more in the run. So like I said, about an hour at a 2 to 3 RPE. Probably going a little bit fast right now, but it's way colder than it's been. I think that makes a big difference. I think technically the best temperature for running is about 45 degrees. So you lose performance anything higher than 45 degrees. It's like in the high 50s, low 60s right now. Probably will feel like I'm running a little bit faster than usual. At the very least, at 2 to 3 RPE, you should be able to hold a conversation while you're running without too much effort. Sometimes I'll talk to a friend or my dad and just kind of life updates on the phone while I'm running, because that keeps me honest. So this is about the same thing where, yeah, I need to slow down just a little bit. But again, I'm not running fast at all right now. Probably somewhere around an 11-minute per mile pace, maybe just a little bit faster because it's cool out. So, like I was saying about perception, I could be sitting in rush hour traffic on the way home right now, where I'm staying pretty close to Washington, D.C. So, you know, that would be terrible. And instead, I get to be out here. The weather's nice. We'll go down by the water here in just a minute before the sun sets. But I'm not just running in this quiet neighborhood. Life could be a lot worse. So I think really when you're doing a lot of these really slow, semi-boring miles, it's really good just to remind yourself that at least you're out here running. At least that's what I have to do. I mean, come on. Like, that's so gorgeous. Maybe running on the roads right now instead of in the mountains, but this view could definitely be worse. You know, one more note on perception. not that long ago, I was injured and I couldn't run at all. Even just the ability to be out here running, it's not something I take for granted as much as I used to. I've seen what it's like to be a runner now and be in a position where you can't run as much as you want to. And it really sucks. Just keeping in perspective that even though these miles are kind of a slog sometimes to get through, just because I'm out in the same neighborhood I always am, jogging for an hour, it is still just part of the process to build up to that 100 miles. So everything that I was using to record while I was out there has died. So the biggest thing that's really been top of mind for me lately, especially in this very slow build-up phase of this training, has been you really need to have a strong base in order to run fast. And especially in order to run far, you need a really strong aerobic base. This is definitely not the most exciting type of running that I'm doing right now. You know, a lot of just really slow miles out on the road because it's more convenient than going out to a trail, but it's necessary. And I'm really hoping for the people that decide to stick around with me, you know, a year from now, when I do finally run my 100-miler, hopefully it'll be worth it. And I think it will. I have no reason to not believe that. I have a good coach that I'm really confident in, and I think that if I just stay the course, then less than a year from now, when I'm doing these shorter distances for my tune-up races, the 50K, the 100K, the 50-miler, that I will be able to prove to myself and the people watching that it is worth it to build up this base and take the time to do this, to stay injury-free and to get really strong and healthy. So if you have any questions for me, or if you enjoyed this style of video over what I usually do, then feel free to let me know. Like, I would love some feedback on this. I got the same thing first thing in the morning tomorrow because I'm doing some traveling this weekend, and I'm gonna go hunt down Matt Johnson out in Texas, if you're familiar with him. So I'll see you in the next one.